Okay, good afternoon traders. Welcome to TradeSetup in the live stream for the 13th of March. Hope we all had a great weekend. We're plugging away today. It is actually a probably fairly quiet day, I'm guessing, because it's a public holiday in a few states. So considering Sydney's still up and running, so the market's still open and going. We're down, I think it was about 20 points when I last looked. We'll get into it in a minute. So just for anyone that's new to the stream, you can join us on Twitter. You can see the top left-hand corner is the site there. Facebook, if you can join us on Facebook, you'll see a few posts occasionally on different things. And also subscribe to us on YouTube if you can. That'd be much appreciated. And if anything that you see that you actually like, feel free to share it and like it. That would be great. So, g'day Nathan, how are you, mate? Don't know if you've been in and out, but I haven't seen you for a while, so... Cheeky bugger. I was about to say that. I've had a haircut. I'm in my casual attire, though, for today, so... I hope you like it then, Michael. I let things get a bit too far out of hand. Beard trim. It's probably down the track. I'm seeing too much greys coming as it gets a bit longer, so I'm going to have to trim that up. Tidy myself up a bit. There you go. You throw me. Quite easy. Let's get into it. So we've got our general advice warning there for anyone that's new. Just take a look through that. We don't give specific advice. Yeah, I am. It's not what my wife says, though, at the moment. So I'll minimise that. Let's just change that chart there. That's the Aussie. Just getting onto the charts at the moment. So okay. Yeah, get into your trading. How's it going then, Nathan? Anyway, did you find it? I know we were talking, I think, a while ago about the stocks and the providers and things. So, well, share providers anyway. You get something up and running there. Right, what we're going to do today, as per usual. So, just get ready a bit later on to chuck in some ideas into the chat. I've got just a couple of little things I'm going to look at. I'm going to take a quick look at FMG. I just sent out an alert on it, but I think it's an interesting one to talk about. And we'll go through and have a bit of a chat about that in a minute. I think that's gone quite hard. It's actually on the screen here. It's gone quite hard over the last pretty much through 2016. And I just want to take a look at that now and why. I'm guessing a few people would say, okay, sell it. Well, if you think it's going to go down, sell it. But I'll take a look at why just in a second. We'll go through a few others. We've got API that's going. See that weekly. That weekly looks great in my eyes. Look, it's in prime position in stochastics, coming from oversold. Holding that bit of a wash out of that low at 170, holding a high low. It looks like it's going to go on through it. I think I'm going to go straight through 210. I'd like to see it into new highs. That would be great. And you can see it on the daily too, just kicking on strongly. It's a slow mover. It's only put on a few cents today, but still. We're happy with that one. We got CKF, which is great. That there was getting a bit choppy here, but we probably jumped in a tad early, but you can see that price action is looking really good. So I want to see if that can push up into new highs through 675. That would be great. If not, we could be sitting there just holding a break-even trade or a slight gain. We'll just see how it plays out. Looking good. Coke's looking good too. So we're up on entry, but we've also got the div on that. I think it's a 25-cent div, so... All in all, I think it was a 1036 entry from that gap up, which is a bit of a bummer. Could have got a better price, but we'll take that. Did gap up. That price action is holding some minor inside high lows, you can see here, with respect to this move back. And I think it's going to just grind its way high and take out that. Expecting it to go to $11. Really like that, up to 11. Yeah, late US session, so that's good. We'll take a look at if there's a currency that you want to have a start of London on pound yen. If there's a currency you just want to have a look at that pound yen, we'll go through it. I think we're getting more and more. We're going to get into doing some currencies, so I like to talk about it a bit more as well. Plus, everything's linked to the US dollar at the moment. That was down on Friday, I think. They had some good numbers out on. It's a bit weird, so be interesting to see. I think Wednesday's the announcement for rates, and it's all It's not a foregone conclusion. I mean, you can always say no, but the numbers have been really, really good. They've given some good hints. FOMC, what's her name? Yellen. Pretty much most things she said has been gearing the market up for a rate rise. But the US dollar's just dropped off a bit on Friday night. Found a bit of weaknesses. It has done that. You'll probably find that there's going to be a rate rise. It'll be choppy for a bit. And then everyone will be gearing up to see when the next rate rise is going to be. But these numbers have been quite good. The payrolls out in the US were better than expected. The interest rate dropped, which they did expect. I think it's 4.7 to 4.6%, or 4.8 to 4.7. Can't quite remember. But that's dropped. So they've still putting on some good jobs. Yeah, everything's looking good over there. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. Gearing up for higher rates. Higher rate, was that going to constrain the stocks? They're pretty much getting a bit extended at the moment. Any company profits, you'd think, borrowing going up is going to be a bit tougher on them. So if they're already overvalue, then it's going to be interesting to see how it all goes. Bit of profit taken into that probably, but we'll see. Where was I heading? We'll get into just looking at a few others we got going here. So I've just got my alerts just pumping away there. Westpac 35. Westpac's looking good. It's starting to get a bit, you can see on the weekly too, getting a bit stretched up here. Do expect maybe something like that, a bit of a correction if we're going to get it. Bit of a pullback, but you can find the stochastics could roll over and this price could still head high. I want to see it. I just want to see how far it can get. I think there's still quite a bit left in it. And it can easily do something like just hold around that overbought section. It grinds higher, bit of a correction lower, bring in some, get some of those buyers out, those long positions out, squeeze them out, and then bring in some more buyers at a better price. See how they go. Still looks great though, either way. All right. Let's just get into... That's not what I wanted to look at. That can go away. ASX, this is a 30-minute chart. You can see it's looking good. It's holding these high lows, which is really nice and interesting. So now I'm just checking to see where we're at. I'm trying to get a bit of a take on how far the stream is behind. So I've got my phone here on the right-hand side. But we're looking at this 30-minute chart in the ASX. It looks, I think it still looks great. It's just, just popped up through 57.80 zone, that resistance up here. It has built a lower high, but still the main key level is at 57.30 on the daily. So you can see it sort of pops up, has a decent pullback, which is probably in the midst of doing at the moment. We might expect, and then see if we can hold this sort of zone around 57.50 to 57.40, 30. Hold that zone in there, which I think we can, and just build for another, grind higher. It's not doing anything significant. You can see it's had a good move up there, then it gave it back up again and pushed back up to those highs just in here. It's just a slow moving on the upside, but I still think we're going to get up through 5,800 and potentially, grind that way higher up towards, what's that? That's a 58.26. So that's the recent highs just up there. I think we're just going to grind our way up. Maybe start accelerating, but we'll see how it goes. It's a bit extended to the downside just here, so it's good evidence it's going to hold another higher low in here and start to build. We'll just see how it plays out, but still fairly bullish on that. I think the key level, like I said, 57.30. If that breaks, we might have to reassess things, but it's still got a low here, holding higher lows. This move down, this correction down from 58, 25, 27. That correction down, we popped up, took out the most, the anchor level to the downside. And that was way back here at 57, 54 with this move up here. And then we've been holding high lows since. So that's the important thing, holding those high lows. We just want to see if we can hold one in here and pop up through that high through 5,800. But we'll see. So what, any currencies, we'll just flick over to some currencies now. Is there anything anyone wants to look at on the currency side of thing? Nathan, you're looking at pound yen potentially? Actually be interesting to see how you view it on that. I think the pound's been heading south, but the yen's been heading south as well, hasn't it? Well, we'll see. What do we got here? I'll just get that one up and see what it shows us. So we've still got that pound alert. It's still like that. I don't know if you remember that one, the short on the pound, the squeeze. Not a massive squeeze, but it's got a couple of hundred pips in our favour at the moment, which is nice. It still looks like it's squeezing lower, so we'll see how that goes, but I don't know how that's relating to this pound. Let's just get the daily up here. Ooh. All right, that's interesting price action. You see, obviously, this is a daily chart. That's the pound yen, the one one knows if right or wrong pretty quick. Yeah, no, true. You're probably like I do when I trade the FX and that. You know, for myself, it's minute charts. Long term is 30 minutes. So we've got just on a daily basis that looks like it's had a good move down. Let's just see if we could be popping up. So I think this is a good exercise for everyone, really. Just stepping back just to get an overall bias of the market and see what's going on. Yeah, still a lot to go. It could just contract up to about that resistance line, hold its trend down, and just pop up, maybe pop up, retest that high or around that zone, and then roll over again. We'll see. But this is what's actually looking a bit interesting, a bit more interesting anyway. If we go into a 4 hourly, see what that says there. But you can see that trend. It's been definitely on the daily trending lower. Bit of a washout in this zone of those lows, the recent lows, which is really around here. Bit of a washout, and that's not significant. So anytime you get that type of move, just be wary, because that's not, I know it's holding lower highs in there, and when you get that sort of price action and it starts to come back within, support or just pop back in the zone, and you can see it's led to a good rally. It's not really strong. If it's going to break, if it's really negative, you expect to see these accelerations lower, not, building, this level's holding, presses down through it, and then starts to, back and fill back into it, if that makes sense. So I hope you understand what I'm saying. That's a lot of the time when we talk about washouts, it does it like this. A washout's not a significant breakthrough, any sort of support or break up through a resistance level. It's more of that break, and that you can see there's going to be some stops in there. There's going to be some stops that are built up in here. People just buying on the, putting a buy limit price in there, or just looking for this little, pop up here, builds another lower high, and it can press down, and then when it starts to soak up again and you start building these little high lows, that's a nice little sign, and you can see it start to pop up here. So if you're long somewhere in that region, that would have been nice, but I mean, you've got this, obviously the first region to contend with was up at 138.50. Still, this is a 4 hourly chart. Just here, we could be getting, it'd be interesting to see how this plays out. You got more of a key level down there. If this level is going to hold, be interesting to see on the 4 hourly if there's going to be a longer term move back up. Let's just go down a time frame, look down at the hourly. So we've got this type of price action building on the hourly, and I reckon if you go in the half an hour, it's not going to be a hell of a big difference. But you can see major support down at 136.70. You've got another zone just holding through here at 138.80, and it's just squeezed out that low. Not by much, and it's just started popping back up, but it's still holding that trend down with lower highs. So really, I think the next level you're going to be looking at is sort of up towards that, was it 140.70? If we start to break up through there and start to break out of that contraction lower, then we're going to be looking for high lows to work off, and that will be nice. Just see what it's looking like on the 30. So I'm reckoning I know the way you're trading too there, Nathan. Do you start off on do you just work it down like that? Do you look at the higher time frames from a daily just to get an overall bias of the market? And then maybe, if you've learnt like I have, you're probably working off a half an hour chart, and then some good zones off the half an hour chart. But looking at that, it was pressing down quite strong on the 30 minute. You can see it was getting to the, overextended on the downside. It's just popped up. So we may work our way down. We've got another little level down through here. If I can just make that a different colour. Little level in there. It's holding that most recent leg up. We're contracting lower, so just to see how low that goes. If that's the case, we could hold this zone here. We may wash out 139.50, say, wash it out and then bounce back and sort of springboard off there. It's a good little zone on the hourly, the 4 hourly as well. So that could lead us to a push up through this resistance, but just see how it goes. You can see that reaction up has been quite strong. Contraction lower, these reactions higher have been quite good. So it's tending to show me that the markets start to get biased up. Whether that's there's a fair few shorts built up and they're going to start to get squeezed out, we don't know. You're pretty much doing what I thought you'd do, yeah. But that looks good. I think that's looking good for a bit of a pop-up. Let's take a look at the Aussie. What do we got there? The 30-minute chart. I can never quite remember what I've been saying on these longer term charts. Let's go out to the 4-hourly. Alright, so you got a major support zone down here, 71.64. It's just worked its way, it's looking like it's just working its way over off that 77.46. Don't forget this is our, if we can go to a 1 hour. So we're really just trying to see those lower highs now. And if we're right, okay, you've got to always have the plan of attack. If we do believe that longer term is starting just to contract off there, we want to see where it's going to pull up. And it's probably, yeah, there's that little zone through here. We may, a little zone through there, just touch down on. It doesn't mean that nothing's finished just yet. I mean, that's the major level. Whoop, on that hourly. Just really holding this last leg down. So that's your anchor for this move down. Potentially there's going to be a bit of a support zone in here. We might see buyers step in. But you want to see, again, if we can get this rolling over, wash out that low here, or at least retest that zone, and we start popping back up, then your key level is going to be, lower around that 75, 50, 55 zone. Now, if that happens, if we get something like this, I'd like to see a bit of a wash, and then we get a wash and a run, and then you start to work its way back up. All right, and that's what we could get, because it's starting to look like it's in a good zone on. And this is, what are we on here? The hourly. So it's had a good little retracement, but we still, on this time frame, it's probably contracting, but it's still, the sellers are in control just at the moment. We'll have to see how it plays out. And obviously it's going to be linked into Wednesday. What is it? The US rate rise. So we should get a bit of action there on the US dollar. Yeah, that's great. Alrighty. Anything else just on the currencies? I was going to check out, I haven't looked at the pound actually today. See how that's playing out. So we really got a 4-hourly chart. We're sort of working that alert off just to give us some time. And what do we got here? I think I reset it. I lost on my, no I haven't. There you go. Alrighty. So you can see that it's really strong resistance here you've had, and that was just a beautiful setup. You get those high lows and then squeeze back out as soon as you get your lower high. And I'm guessing you'd know exactly what we're talking about there, Nathan. Working off the shoulder, and that was a zone just in there. Your little lower high, and that's just pressed down and just started to wash out all these longs that have been building up. Especially when you get that push up to that 125.78, that was a really nice setup. Still continuing. There's nothing really saying that it's going to abate just yet. You're getting a bit of buying, stepping in here, a bit of rejection. You can see those candles, but you can see how it's starting to press up into overbought. But we're not breaking any significant levels, so there could still be quite a bit in this. We don't know. This could just, we could just keep pressing lower. But we'll see how it goes. It's really, that's the key level. We may just pop up, wash that out, and then roll over from there. Just have to see how it plays out. But when you get that move back up and it's looking like it's building high lows, but it hasn't broken the key level, you've really got to be concerned that any longs is going to start to build up in there. Trying to preempt that break or front run that break up through that key level are pretty much fuel to get squeezed back out again. We'll see how it goes, but it's looking great. Oh, just before I'll get rid of that. Just want to show that the S&P one, how that's tracking. So I think it's a good little heads up on the way things squeeze. Remember what we were saying on the currencies and the indices a lot as well. They wash and run. So wash out one level if the trend is up, they'll wash out some support levels and then run higher and just drag all those people back out again. Hourly chart I think I'll do. So we were looking, we've spoken about it quite a few times now. This is the one that's was really heavily short bias, so we were looking for that short squeeze and we got that. And we got that, most recent was a push straight up to, was it 24.01? Been contracting off that level, but your anchor level is 23.59. Bit of a wash out of that zone we can see there, but it wasn't, it just washed out and it's popped back up and then we've taken out the top. So that's exactly what we said, a bit of a wash and runs, wash out of support. people know that there's a key level there. It's going to wash it out, stop some short sellers in, or just stop some of these long positions out, wash them out of the market, and then it's just going to pop straight back up. So when you see that type of price action, that's really nice. And then you're just looking to see if you can target those highs. Does that make sense there, guys? So it hasn't. It's just popped back up, and we've got that's sort of the price action we're expecting in blue. I'll just delete that. It's starting to get a bit messy. And you can see it's just washed, and then we started to lift, and we've lifted up through. And I guess the key, another thing just to notice too, when you get, I like to put these in, these downtrends, so you can see it's holding lower highs, you know, put it across the top, you get two touches, and it's really it's a trend lower, contraction lower, you come into a good support zone. We've got that pop out to the top. Now that's a good sign that we're, okay, is this finishing? What's going to happen here? So you just, basically, it's just a good sign to sit on the sidelines until you get a bit of a shoulder trade. And potentially we can get that inside level at 23.73. Just in here, if we start pushing up through that now, I think that's a nice little continuation pattern. Push up through there, you'll be tacking these highs at 23.79 and potentially all the way back up to 24.01. So it's nice when you see that pop up through there, and then we get a wash out, so you're washing out both sides of the market, and then it continues back on its way. And we know that that's heavily, it's still, there's quite a few shorts built up, and there has been, you know, through this price section through here. You can see that through that structure. Lower highs, sellers coming back into the market, you know, overextended, whatever their reasoning is for shorting the market, and that could be the initial sign that they're going to get squeezed back out of the market. We're just going to squeeze them back out and just continue that trend higher. But always interesting to see. All right, guys, any questions on that just before we kick it off? Just going to have a touch of my coffee again. Alrighty. No questions. What I'll see, what we'll take a look at, I just want to go over FMG. And I think this is one that I find important. You can see it's just a couple of little things. Now that didn't mean a lot to me. I was just having a quick look at it before. You know, it's okay. It's a good solid uptrend. It hasn't finished yet. Okay, this could be a good little buy zone, you know, extended to the downside. So we'll just take a look at that. And just at a quick glance, you go, okay, the trend may be not over. What I want to just go over is why I think that it could be starting to run out of steam. So what we're... That's good enough. That's good enough. So what I'm looking at here, okay, the key level we can see is really, that's the anchor. So it's around that 575 zone, which is holding it. It produced that leg up. We're contracting off there. But on the longer term basis, you know, you've got your anchors here. You've got a little anchor here. Oh, sort of an anchor through here. You can see that contraction through there and it produced that leg up. A pullback. We held that level around 575 and we produced this leg up and just popped through the most recent high. Now that there, if you're looking for, you know, buy entry on that, everything's looking good. You've got your stochastics down here. We're starting to get extended. We're approaching that 575 zone. So if we start to see that's your support, we've got this move down here. Well, that's a bit silly. You got that move down like that, and we're sort of about there. We could just hold this. We may wash it out, and we'll start to build, you know, build another higher low, and that's probably a good sign that we're going to go back up. Now that would all make sense, and then you probably expect it to attack 725. If all things work out, and just that trend to continue. Now the problem is, and I've probably just drawn that line in there. I'll just get rid of this now. And this is a key level 7. We'll show in a second off the weekly. If you draw that support zone up there, that's, for me, and you can see that it's touched down here. It's reacted off there. So buyers have stepped in. Expect whether, I don't like to say inexperienced or anything like that. For me, that's not a solid setup, just buying straight off a support zone. I want to see a higher low being built, which is more confirmation. So say, for example, like this, you know, you get that little correction up. This is probably hard to see, but that was ideal. You know, that little pop up. Let's test that support zone. And then you've got a little level of work off a buy, and you've got your risk or, you know, tolerance in there. Whereas this little pop up here, I'd say it's more inexperienced. You know, just buying on the bid, buying when it's going to go up, expecting that to just continue on higher because that's a support line. But then, as you can see, it's just pushed through it. So that's, for me, is an early sign. There's a heads up that this is starting to find trouble. And potentially we are heading down to 575s. I mean, even if this is overextended to the downside, that's what I'd be viewing this at, is really that it's starting to struggle. We've had a good solid move up for pretty much a year, holding higher lows. People have been shorting this, shorts jumping in here, expecting it's overextended, and then it washes them all back out. They build up here potentially, and I do know people that have done it. But it didn't ever really crack to the downside. It didn't break any significant level. Holding some higher lows. You can see that just time and time again. We've popped back down here and sort of holding through that level there. Even here, maybe a bit of a washout. That might have enticed a few shorts and then pushed them back out of the market. It doesn't. So this, like I was trying to say, that's potentially an earlier sign. So I'd want to go back, just go back to the weekly chart to see what's happening. I think it's more significant on the weekly is what we're seeing. See what we're back here? Really, it's that 7 line. It's been rejected. It did it up here, and that led to a lower high just in here. And we found some selling, and it started to really, it took a while to filter through back, and that was way back in 2011, I know. But we had that acceleration to that $7 mark. Had a bit of a pop up through $7, failed to finish up above there on a weekly basis. And we retested 7, and then we got that selling. So that's really your shoulder just in here. I'm sure you can all see that. Is that right? Yep. All right. So you can see that produced that move down here. You got a bit of a negative week here. It was brought back up, but then you started getting this lower highs, and that's all nice little evidence that the market's going to roll over. You don't know where it's going to go to, and in hindsight, we can see that's actually pushed all the way down to 4. Reacted back off 4, bit of bargain hunting, got back up to 6, and then we got a deeper correction, and then started getting a bit choppy. And then you can see this has popped back up here, and then some severe selling all the way down to about $1.50. Was it about $1.40? Even these lows here. It started 2016, and then we just took off from there. Pumped straight through this little zone. Here's about 250, I think. And we had a new strong, move trend higher all the way back up to 7. Thing is, what I'm seeing here, we had a weekly close, and that was a negative week too. Same sort of candle as what we saw way back when, 2011, started 2011. It's washed it out, got to 725, and then finished on its lows for that week. That's not a good sign. Thing is, we still got this 575 level to contend with. If you're looking to, potentially sell, I don't think anything's confirmed just yet. So for me, it's really an each way bet. And I know that probably, if I can just get in on that. I know what a lot of people might say is, why wouldn't you sell? If you think that's the case, why wouldn't you sell, sell now? If it's washed out here, why wouldn't you sell just up at that level? Purely because there's still, you've got to go by your anchors. You've got to stick to your rules. And that, for me, the anchor, until that's broken, I don't think we're in a downtrend. I know it's early signs, like we said. It's really nice early signs with that breakthrough. But still, they could easily do that. And that could be that could pretty much be your correction. You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen until your anchor's broken here. There's no confirmation. We've just got a few signs starting to add up. There's going to be some long players squeezed out of the market. Where that just corrects a bit, builds a nice little high low here for $4 and to push it up longer term straight through 7. We don't know. But either way, if you're long in here, I'll be starting to watch this a fair bit, really closely. If we get that breakthrough and even that push through 575, I think definitely that leg up is run out of steam, and we might see some sellers. And then ideally, I'd want to see that lower high form. So I'd ideally want to see, we've had that push up here, retest of 575, bit of a wash out of those highs. We're about here. Potentially, if we get a move down like that, I'd want to see, that lower high structure, which I think could take us down through the lows. But I think I'd want to see that wash out of first. I mean, if we do get this type of structure, I'm just going to draw that up properly again. Let's just go back. We might get this pop up through here, and people are maybe looking at that as a lower high, but we could easily just wash them back out because we haven't broken that anchor. So this type of price action can easily happen. You just got to be on your guard. I think it is early signs there, but that could easily just go sideways instead of roll over, and then buyers start to step in above 575, $6. You got people that have sold it thinking, okay, we'll get out, or short sellers are starting to jump in again, and that just bounces around, holds them in the trade, and then washes them back out as we attack that $7 level again. So really, for me, until we break through that $7 mark, I think that long trade is still on. It's just showing some early signs. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to get to there, guys? Why I wouldn't want to be jumping out just yet? I'd probably be getting a bit concerned if I was long, but ideally, I wouldn't want to jump out until it breaks that anchor level, which happens to be 575 on the weekly charts anyway. Especially if you held it from way back down here. You might have taken out a partial. You don't know what you're going to do, but really that trend hasn't broken just yet on the weekly, the longer term trend. It's just there's just too many signs that, especially with that type of price action starting to recur, we could get this type of chop again, or considering it's gone up from pretty much whole year straight up without abating, this could be quite savage. All right, so we don't know. All makes sense there, guys. So if there's not any questions on that, is there anything we want to look at? Anything someone just wants to chuck in chat? We'll take a look at some stocks now. Market's holding down 20. I didn't expect it to be down like this just today, but we'll see how it goes. All right, so I guess just to add to that, what I'm trying to say is just let your price action... Clement, how are you, mate? I've got your messages. That's what another thing I want to look at. Clement's big into the marijuana stocks, and we'll just have a quick look at some of those as well. Some of them have gone gangbusters, and I can't believe I completely missed it. I just didn't see them set up, to be honest. I wasn't looking at them. I think I had my hands full. We had about 10 positions at the time when they started kicking on, so we'll take a look at those in just a sec. All right, FBR. That daily, it's showing the price action you want to see, without a doubt. And just going from past history, this thing can move. I'd rather have seen this type of price action. You can see the difference between that and that. That's had a good, obviously, a couple of days ago. I don't know what's happened. Has anything popped out there, Clement, in the way of news? Is it everywhere? No. All right. No, they're not aware of anything happening. So it looks like it just had the run of... they're not aware, but someone knows something. That's probably what they're trying to say. So that was a good, strong move up. It was off a high low, which is good. Let's just draw it up. Blue. This type of price action is ideal. I love that because it's quite easy to trade. You've got these high lows building just in here. Squeeze out. You've got, your risk is defined quite easily, quite small. And where it's coming from. It's quite controlled. Maybe not a lot of volume in there, but the potential. And as it turned out, it really started accelerating hard. And that was through September, I think, of last year. Yep, through last year. Great. And then once you see that type of acceleration, you know that the volatility's increased. Whoever's viewing it... yeah, I reckon you're right. It doesn't look like there's any news that kicked it off, but and it's probably people who have seen this type of price action in the past are starting to really jump on board there. They got rejected, so if you bought it up at 2, you're being rejected. So it'll be interesting now just to see if we can get this type of price action. A few down days, starting to hold some high lows, probably over a few days. I wouldn't want to see it just take off from here because I think it's going to be a bit more. You'd be chasing the market, and there's the potential to have your risk is going to be way too wide, I think, on this. But that was nice, and that was, once you broke out of that contraction with this move up, we had a little high-low build. That would have been nice to get it through there, and then you can see that risk is quite small. But still, I don't like that, hard day followed by rejection. Pretty much it's open low, bit of profit taking, so I don't know how we're going to go there. Up against the resistance zone just in there. So, but the thing is, you can see it's unlike that. It still is coming out of the other end. And if we get this type of price action, it could easily consolidate and start to really accelerate. And, that case, you'd expect to go bang up, straight up through those highs. Was it 6.5 cents? But it looks, you've got all the price action you want. So now, what I'd ideally want to be seeing, let me just see how I can draw this up. you've got that move up, which is just here. That pullback, we've held that higher low, and we've accelerated higher into, was it 2 cents? And we've just backed off there. I'd like to see something like that, maybe a two-legged move, but still holding above that key level, which is around 8.5 cents. So that's the key level just at the moment. So we can do anything in there, but I'd like to see, you know, a bit of volatility come out of that, and then you can see a little setup, say through here, potentially like this, potentially something like this. Just leads me to believe that someone knows something just in here. So keep an eye on it there, Clement. It's got all the structure you need. I just want to see this tail end of it there for a setup. A bit extended to the top side as well. What is the weekly saying? Yeah, it's going to be on the move on the weekly chart by the looks of it. That's nice. Yeah, acceleration higher. It's starting to build, but they just don't like that rejection. That's the only thing that's concerning me on the weekly chart. But it's still coming from an over. You can see it's oversold and starting to head higher. So really, there's nothing you can do. Just wait for a little setup there. If you get that little failed continuation lower, and buyers starting to step in with the higher lows, something we can work from, then yeah, it'd be nice. Anything else there, guys? Now, what we were going to look at, just some of those. I had them written down somewhere. Just want to go through these. MXC, I know. So these are your marijuana stocks. Your happy stocks, I guess. You can see some of these. This has gone gangbusters. This is MXC. I know we didn't do an alert on it. Davin loved this one. He had that from, I think, with that little... And this is great price action, if you can see. Let me just draw it up. Oh, no, don't need to draw it up. You can see there's a clear level, say, through 5. It's pushed up. And this is after sort of washing out this major low. So you can see that it's pushing up off. It's like that wave action. It's pushed up here, touched on 5. It's washed out this low, made a lower high, retested, and then just started to accelerate it up through 5 and then pulled back. But that's a really shallow pullback, and it had a few days... buyers were soaking up any selling. So that's what we call a cup and handle. It's a really nice little setup. So if you get that break through the high, I would buy it potentially just in this candle. I like confirmation where it gets up through that high. For me, that's your risk is at 4.5. You got it at 5.1, 5.2 potentially, an entry. And then you've got that acceleration high, which really kicked off quite strong. So that cup and handle is quite a nice little sign, especially when you pop up through. If you can get through some recent high, lower highs, after washing out the lows, that's a nice sign. That's really good. So that's a good one. MXC kicked off. Another one we were looking... I know Clement had that, I think. Did you have that one, Clement? It's had another bloody good day today. So we're up another 25% today. So that's really going gangbusters. Good volume. Everything's playing out well. It's starting to get a bit extended. Don't know what it's looking like on the weekly. Yeah, and the same on the weekly. I mean... If you're looking at getting in, I really wouldn't want to get out. Get in. I think you got out, didn't you? Yeah, I think you got out of that one, Clement, anyway. If I'm right. Tell me if I'm wrong. But that's, with that kind of spike high, that nice extended move up through 9.5, even today, strong day, but I just really want to be buying in here. There's no way to put my stop. I'd rather look for a bit of a pullback and build another higher low for a longer term move up, but it's getting extended on both those charts either way. Yeah, no, look, good move. Where did you buy it again, Clement? Do you mind telling? It was somewhere around here, I think, wasn't it? Just before that pop up. But this is a great little, that's a nice setup there. Anyway, I know it's probably going to be a bit slow to get through, but 5.2. Yeah, awesome. So that was an awesome little trade there. You can see that 5.2 break up through those highs, if I got the right spot, and that's kicked on strong. It's really accelerated hard. So selling half there, I know you could give up if this thing pulls all the way back. Okay, you're giving up a bit of profit, but you're sitting on some healthy little gains there. There's nothing wrong with just giving it some room to move and seeing what happens. You never know with these things. I mean, when things can get overextended and just keep going. What else we got? MXC ZLD, I think was another one. You can see that's kicked on strong. It's done some good volume. Again, I mean, that's a nice little setup just in here. You can see it's contracting, holding higher lows. If you bought it through a breakup, I mean, if you bought it with a breakup through here, you were safe. You had to come under a bit of pressure just in this little high low, but it's done well. I mean, that's accelerated through there along with MXC. What do we got? ESE was another one, I think. Hasn't got a lot of data to go by, but still, you know, you can see that's the same type of pricing from bang. What was the other one? AC8, I think was what we were looking at. Never alerted it, but you can see a similar type of scenario. You can see how that's held around here. So it's oscillated around that 20 mark. Then you got that pop up through 30, and that sort of took out all the previous lower highs. Then you got that build up through here, and that acceleration through. I mean, it's a bit harder to trade that. You didn't know that was going to happen, and then you really, for me, the way I trade would have had to entered through 32.5. This is what we call a cup and handle again. You know, it's popped up through the highs, taken out this previous high. It's had a really shallow correction back, and then you could have just bought it, you know, even in through here, say 37.5, and you've got, it's all in hindsight, but you've got that acceleration, strong acceleration higher. So that's nice. I think that's about all. And there was one other that I've had watching. I haven't traded any of these, by the way. I know Davin's traded a couple, but we didn't alert these just because of they were a bit on the small side, not now. You can see the volume going through that one. But that's, you know, again, that's accelerated. Look at it, it's gapping up. So that's really strong. But again, I wouldn't be buying into these just yet. Bit of a shame if they keep kicking on. I mean, you can always buy it and it kicks on. That's great. But the risk, again, we're risk managers. We're not just trying to say buy here expecting it to go high. This could easily pull back. Either put us under a lot of pressure, or it could just sit and do nothing like it had here. Accelerated higher here, pulled all the way back and did nothing for a very long time. So you don't want to get caught in that type of price action. So that's why I wouldn't go near it just yet. But I mean, if it goes on without me, so be it. There's going to be something else that's going to move anyway. But just wanted to go through those stocks. They look great. There's some really nice setups too. This one's not as clean as the others. It's probably, this would have been, for me, in the way I look at it, a bit harder to trade. Potentially the only thing I could see in here was this little setup through here, but then you probably, if I was going to trade that with a breakout through here, say through 31.5, really should have put my stop around 28. As low as I go is about 24, which would have held me in. That would have got me stopped out, but I didn't see a nice clean entry like the others. No real cup and handle here, a bit of a spike higher. Washed out a few of these lows, but held another little higher low. Problem is there was no real entry after that. It just took off, so that's one that you sort of get caught caught holding and just watching. Anything else there, guys? I just got to remember what that one that you sent through today, Clement. What was the one? Was that FBR you mentioned? Anyway, anything else? Michael, you got something there? One of Paul's watching. You had something I just wanted to quickly go over. Yeah, Paul. What were they? No. And I think you were looking at Ansell. Now, if you're watching, Paul, do you know it was Ansell and James Hardy? We've had those on the radar. I don't know what happened with them and why. Ansell is one of those ones, you know, it's down at that support zone at 21. Really, we've gone over this, haven't we? So it's overextended to the upside now. And yeah, it's sort of, these are a bit conflicting. Look at the weekly is actually not looking too bad, but it's looking like it could easily make that lower high and contract a bit further through that 21 zone, which is a daily 2075 daily support. Extended to the upside, it really couldn't get on with it. You'd expect it to do that type of move up, which it didn't. So we'll see if sellers get into that. We'll just have to see how that plays out. But that's we did talk about that the other day. What was the other one? James Hardy. I don't think we talked about that. Just want to go over that one quickly. That's your weekly. I mean, definitely it's an uptrend there. Your key levels around that $18 mark. We made that lower high, which gets me a bit concerned, but we could easily hold high lows because it's such a wide move, you know, from 23 3 down to 18. That's a $5 move lower. Bounced all the way back up to about 22.50, made a lower high, but it's also potentially made that higher low. So we might just get the market contracting on itself, and then we'll have to see what it says on the that's on the weekly anyway, what it says on the daily. You see that move down, it popped back up, moved back down, failed to get through that low, and it's starting to edge its way back up again, getting extended to the upside. So we could easily just come back down, and we'll see if we can make a high low in here. It's looking a bit like Ansel, where it could if it starts accelerating to the downside, but I wouldn't jump in either way just on this one at the moment, because that's quite a solid move. Solid move down, another solid move back up, another solid move down. So really the range for those moves is quite wide. I think the contraction is going to be quite wide. I think it's got a lot of work to do before it really starts picking a direction. I mean, it could easily go straight through 1825. So be it. We're not in, we're not concerned, doesn't matter. And I don't really see any nice setups just recently off of the long or the short side. But that's it. I'm lost. Where am I go? Here we go. IFM has not really moved yet. I'm liking the look of IFM. Let's take a look. Yep. I've got to agree with you. It's obviously trades pretty light, but you just start off at a weekly just to see if we've got that weekly. It really is showing a good picture. I know you've had that good strong move up, that really major lower high. It ended up leading to, and you got another little lower high in here, led to a good sell-off all the way down to 50. But then we retested 50, made that sort of double bottom there, and started to work our way back up. And we've had this move all the way up to 85 on the weekly. So if that's the case, if we are starting to head higher, it's looking good, and it's looked like it's built a higher low just around at 65 zone on the weekly anyway. And it's got that potential to have another leg up like this, from 50 up to 85, add 35 cents to that. What's that take us? About 90. It could easily get up, I think that's about right, is that right? 67, yeah, $1. Yep, up to somewhere around $1. If we got that's our first leg up, if that's contraction lower, and you can see a push down, lower high here, another push down, all within context to this anchor level of just below 65. Sort of retested that zone and it started working its way back up. So if that's the case, we take our low from 65, same distance, volatility projection projected out to around $1. This could take us up to $1. So we'll just see what it looks like on the daily. Daily is looking good. I mean, you can see that move down, and this is what we're talking about. That's we'll draw it up. So we're just looking at hard right edge now, just on what's happening in the most recent price action. Don't mind it at all. All right. So that's our level down around 50. That's that double bottom. You can see it's held higher lows just off here. I'll probably draw that a bit better. High low in here, a bit of a wash out of that level, pushed up, accelerated higher. So really this low here, this high low here has led to that move all the way up to 85. Now we come all the way back down, but we're still in context to that anchor level at 65 or about 64. We rejected that zone, so that's really, it's a high low, but that's not confirmed until we really, it's so close to being confirmed as a higher low just in here, and you can see it's worked up off that level. So it's showing some good signs on the daily too. If that's a major high low and we're starting to work up with some minor high lows off that level, is that all the data? I've got a feeling I missed the last few days. Or haven't I? No, that's it. It could potentially just get up through that sort of 77.5 level as a high low here. You can see that's spiked up here. It was opened up quite strong. Rejected off there. Had another push up to 82. It's got to have a deeper correction. So if this is a deeper correction, we start popping up through here. We might just get that push up and then start to hold and then go. And that could lead for, this is a nice little area, could lead up to a move through 85 and above that level. So, and that's if that were right off the weekly, that's a level here. We could be heading up towards $1. So could be worth a little try on that one. It looks good. Double bottom here. It's led to a move up, contracted lower, squeeze some of those buyers out, starting to build those high lows again, starting to bring in a few more buyers. We've got this high to contend with at 85, but we're starting to show some really nice signs of that anyway. What was the news that came out on that, Peter? Peter. We haven't even got a Peter here. I don't know where that come from. Michael? Either way, looking good. Let's just see what else we got. Deal with Nissan. Okay, so it's got a good positive fundamental reason why it could really project up to $1 at least. I reckon it's worth, you know, keep an eye on that one anyway. So you can see how things, when they add up, should be huge from the air. Things are adding up quite nicely for them at least. You can go back to this weekly. If it gets through 85, I think that's going to take it, you know, potentially it could just extend up to 80, but there's no reason for that just to keep going and extend up to these highs of $1.30 and through. What's all the data? So it's been high. Even that monthly chart, you can see how that looks. It's sold off, popped back up, lower high, pushed down, lower high, grind low, and this move up's just taken out these, you know, these recent lower highs in the monthly chart. Pushed back up, had a good solid correction. So even on the monthly, it's looking good. So now it could go well. I think it's a nice little inside trade if you can get a push up through that sort of zone through 77, 78. Push up through there. Risk could easily be down at 72.5 and then see what happens from there. See if these high lows keep holding. Push up through 85 and away we go. Has the look of fund manager accumulator. Yeah. All right, anything else, guys, you want to chuck in there? I think I just hit my camera there, didn't I? All right, let's see what else we got. Still looking good, still looking good. AJM, that's been a bit of a... Someone alerted to me this on... this was an alert we had. I think we got in around the 18 mark. 17, 18, will pop up through here and it's just headed south. I don't know why the alert, I sort of said get out at 16, but it wasn't. My stop was down here at 14.5, you know, below this high low, and it looks like it's just edging lower. That's quite controlled, so I'd like to see if they can hold up there at 15.5 and start building those high lows to go. It's in a prime zone. We'll just see how it goes, but it's looking good. So someone brought that to my attention. You shouldn't have actually been out, which is nice. You know, I was getting it confused. SAS, that's kicked on. That's starting to, you know, you can see those strong spike up to 28.5 being rejected, which potentially there's going to be a bit of profit taking in this. See how that goes. You can see that's near vertical. You know, things are near vertical. Whack them in there, Michael, if you can. Those near vertical moves up, you expect profit taking on. I don't know why people would be buying it just in those sort of zones in there. This is a daily chart. You'd expect a bit of heat to come out of there, bit of a pullback, build a long-term higher low, and then go again. I'd love to see this price action again. That's on SAS. Trying to think of what else we got. That's CZN. That's a bit of a bugger. I think I was out somewhere around 4 a long time ago. Missed out on a good solid move up. Anything else we want to chuck in, guys? Otherwise, we might just call it a day there. Knock it in the head. And this is another one we've had. This is a nice... I don't mind it as such. This is IFN. I can never remember where we took a profit out on this. I think we did. We got stopped out in this, you know, this grind lower. I think we're in somewhere around here. Anyway, but that price action is still, well, it's probably just been broken. It's broken down here, but I'd like to see if we can build another major high low. You know, it's down. It's getting towards extended to the downside and still holding these little high lows in here. Did come up against a good resistance level at 107.5, but this price action is quite good, quite controlled. Some minor lower highs in here, lower lows. So you want to see if you can build that higher low, squeeze out the most recent anchor for this little move lower, and see if we can get a push up through 107.5. But definitely the longer term price structure apart. You know, that's when you get that again vertical move on the weekly. You expect a bit of heat to be taken out of that, but it has held these high lows, 80, retest that 107.5, pull back. If we can hold around that 95 on the daily, that would be interesting. I think they can come back onto the cards. Just trying to look at some other ones. Anyway, guys, I think we'll just we'll call it a day there. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll be back on Thursday. So same time, 12:30 Thursday. Hope you can join us. And as usual, if you enjoyed that, can you just leave us a like? It'd be much appreciated. Or if you've got some comments you want to whack in, feel free to put them in there. Let me just get rid of that for a second there. So if you've got some comments you just want to make, or if you've got something you can send through to support at tradesetup.com.au, that'd be great, and we'll just get on with it there. A couple of charts you're looking at, even some trades, like we said, Michael sent in a while ago. I might put up a few on the spy. I'm just going to go back through some old ones, but it'd be great if we can get that going there. A few trades people are going. I know Clement's whacked in quite a few there, doing well. So, no, I reckon it's great. It's great the way it's going. I'm really enjoying myself. I hope you guys are enjoying yourself. And we will see you again on Thursday. Cheers, Nathan. See you, Michael. See you, Clement. I'll speak to you then. Bye, mate.